Hey, and it's nice to meet you.
Thanks, Joe. You as well.
So, where are you located?
I am outside of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay. Are you a Twins fan?
I mean, I guess I'm not a huge sports person.
I just find so obviously I'm in Kansas City, so we're in the same division, but it's like I just kind of feel a little sad for the Twins because they keep winning the division, but it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, see, I'm like, I have no thoughts or opinions about
Okay, there you
that.
go. So it's fine. Yeah, yeah, that's 100% fine. Sometimes I wish I was in the same boat. Um,
Right.
I heard a kid. I work in a school district by day. I'm a technician. About a year or two ago, there was a book fair, and one of the kids looked over at another kid and said, "What do you mean you don't know who Kanye West is? He has all this money." And I was like, "Man, if I could never have known who Kanye West was, that would be the greatest gift in my life."
That's so funny.
So anyway, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, as an entrepreneur and someone that's very, very active, I'm curious, how did you survive the last 3 years with COVID? How did you get through it? And how has it changed the way that you do things now?
Hmm. I think that's such a good question because I think that really we're all still dealing with the effects. I think
Yeah.
one, I was living in northern Minnesota in the same town that well, in the town that I grew up in at the time, but I got through COVID by I'd work on my business during the day, and then at 3 p.m. I would drive down to my parents' place, and they live on Park Point in Duluth, Minnesota. So it's the world's largest sandbar. For those of you who don't know, it's like 7 miles long. And I would go swimming. So I made it my goal to go swimming in Lake Superior every day until Labor Day. And
Oh,
then if I did it, then I'd get a gold star, like one of those elementary school gold foil stars.
yeah.
And I ended up getting my whole family involved because, we're all kind of in a bubble together.
Hmm.
And so my mom and I ended up doing it consistently. We did it for 60 days. We had to go in the water, regardless of the temperature. We got a pool thermometer that we'd throw in the water, especially when it was really cold. If you dip
Yeah.
your toe in and you're like, oh, this is going to be really bad, I'd throw the thermometer way far away so then I'd have to go in the water and get the thermometer.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's one way I got through COVID. I
Yeah.
also met and married my husband during COVID. So that I don't really recommend that because
Right.
it's different dating someone in COVID. But
Yeah.
anyway, we're still together. So I did that. And I think I read a book on grief last December, and it was an interesting book to read because it acknowledged like someone doesn't have to die in order for you to have grief. It can be the loss of, in my case, like my favorite coffee shop in the Twin Cities is no longer. And it was a good exercise to go through and just kind of write down all of the things that had changed or were no more because of COVID, and to recognize, yeah, we're all experiencing a level of grief that we don't actually fully acknowledge. So those are some things, but
Yeah.
it is nice to be able to walk around and not have a mask on anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to see things open up. And I think we're still kind of in the micro stage of this and the camera's still moving back. So I don't know that we're going to get a good handle on it until later on, like anything else. So let's get to the heart and core of what you do as an entrepreneur and a businesswoman. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at a career day. One of the kids
Mhm.
looks up and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
I would say that I coach entrepreneurs on how to build a business around what it is that they are really good at.
S- So, what did you want to be when you were in the third grade?
When I was in third grade, I think I was mostly concerned with hanging out with my friends. That was a huge priority and was a clue also into the type of business I currently have because my whole business is based on having one-on-one conversations with people and helping them move forward with their goals and their dreams. And for my clients, they want to be able to make money on their own. And it's like, okay, well, let's talk about how you can do that. So as a third grader, fourth, fifth, sixth grader, every Saturday morning at 9 a.m., I would call my friend Danielle to see if she could play like on the dot. I'm sure her parents were like, the phone's ringing. It's 9 a.m. It has to be Anna. But that's what I do now. I work one on one specifically because I just love it. So that's what I would tell a third grader. And I think in third grade, I wasn't really thinking of a job yet. I was just concerned about hanging out with friends.
But that's probably a pretty big deal for an entrepreneur or someone that's really good at business is having that regiment. Like you said, calling at 9 o'clock, swimming every day. Is that kind of a cornerstone for you, is to get into the kind of a habitual kind of a routine, because then it becomes a habit.
That's really funny that you're saying that because if I showed you my wall, I have two different calendars, like the micro or not micro, the Apple calendar, like the calendar that you can just print off of your computer. I have one that goes from April all the way down to December, and that is ticking off like, oh, what podcasts I've been on, what have I done? So a large visual, and then I just signed up to swim a 2-mile race next August.
Yeah.
So, and I'm in part of this 20-week transformation challenge, so I have that on my wall. So if I do my workout that day, I get an X, and if I don't, it's like a darker marker. So
Uh-oh.
I would say habits are really hard for me, but I think also I know if I have a goal, then what am I doing in order to obtain the goal? Because if I'm not doing anything, then what's the point of having the goal?
For sure. So let's kind of go through your timeline of how you became a coach for
Mm.
entrepreneurs. What was your business success? How did we get to 2023?
Yeah. So I think ever since a child, as a child, like if you wanted money, you had to go out and earn it yourself. My dad was a social worker, so that's not, a multi-million dollar job opportunity there. So starting at the age of 12, I went out and babysat. I earned $2.50. And anything I ever wanted, I have paid for myself from the age of 12. And but I also worked in corporate, right? So I went to college, worked in corporate in the financial industry, retail, marketing. And on the side though, like at home, I'd be like, I don't really want to work for someone. I want to work for myself. So how do I do that? So in my family, it's all like, how can we make money selling something that we've made or created? And I grew up sewing because I couldn't afford the regular clothes at the mall. I made my own clothes, and I always thought, oh, I'll have a clothing company. So I ended up getting certified as a professional bra maker, so I can make lingerie, very beautiful. It can fit anybody perfectly, and I spent quite a bit of time pursuing that, thousands of dollars getting certified, getting the equipment. I had a sewing studio in my apartment. I had customers, and it was like pulling teeth to sit and do it. Like I knew what I had to do, but I just
Yeah.
was like, I'm not motivated to do it. And one day someone called to be like, hey, do you want to meet up for coffee? And I was like, yes, I'll see you at the coffee shop in 10 minutes. And I was walking to the coffee shop, like, maybe I'm building the wrong business if I'd rather meet someone for coffee than do this other thing that I've told myself I really, really wanted. Because I know if I want something, I will go out and get it. And so it
Yeah.
was a really weird, like, why am I struggling with this? This is weird. So I spent the next 3 years figuring out, what do I like to do? Well, meet people for coffee. What do I like talking to people about? Okay, their goals. And then I learned about coaching as a profession, and I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. So I got certified as a coach. I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach. And it's taken a bit of time to really hone in on, how do I like to help people and what do I like helping them with, which is exactly what I help others with. But I had to go through that process on my own. And so now I work with entrepreneurs, helping them build a business that they love. And I'm not a strategist. I'm not like telling them these are all of the things. It's more helping them realize this is what you're really good at. So you can be confident when you go out and you say, hey, Joe, this is how I can help you. This is what I offer. And so helping them see this is your wheelhouse, like own it,
Yeah.
build a business around it,
Yeah.
and ignore everything else.
And we need that. I think increasingly we need people that around us that can help us kind of see those things. We get so close to it, you know, it's hard to recognize it.
And I don't think that, so as an so a story, when I moved, I lived in Boston for 10 years. And when I moved back to Minnesota, I had to get a car. And I was really nervous about driving on the highways. I was just like, whatever. So I took this adult driving course, and it was taught by professional race car drivers. And you drove your own car on this closed racetrack at this community college that taught people how to become truck drivers and other types of drivers. And I learned how to do, you had to like drive, they had a spring session and a winter session. So in winter, they'd freeze part of the road, and then you'd have to, like, the driver would be like, speed up really fast. And then he'd tell you, stop in front of the cones. And you're like, oh my word. So I got really confident, and I thought everyone who's a driver should go through this adult driving course, because think of when we learned how to drive, age 15, 16 years old. Okay, well, no one's teaching you the basics again or reminding you how to drop your bad habits. And so I think it's the same for us as adults trying to figure out what we want to do with our lives. No
Yeah.
one sits down and says, oh my gosh, Joe, you are so good at this. Like, do more of that and eliminate all of these things because you love it. It's like, it's almost like adult counseling, but it's not or career counseling, but it's not counseling. So
Sure.
I just love doing it because people end up believing lies about themselves, or they think of themselves in a different way based on what other people have labeled them as or pegged them as or put them into boxes, or the thing that they're good at. It's like that's been poo-pooed, like, oh, Anna, you are always talking to people. Oh, well, yeah, that's what I'm really good at.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I get it. It makes total sense. Who's been kind of a hero for you in your life?
I knew that this question was coming, and I always have a hard time answering this question of like, okay, who's my favorite, my hero? I don't think I really have a hero where I'm like, oh, I really look up to that person. I think one of my first bosses, I don't know if I'd call him a hero, but I really appreciated that I was 22, super young, super naive. I just moved to Boston working in this big, gorgeous, sexy financial services company, and had my little Ann Taylor suits and whatever. And I was an administrative assistant. I did not go to an Ivy League school like everyone else at the firm. And he was in his 60s. He was very successful, and he would be very encouraging to me. And he actually took the time out to be like, Anna, I really appreciate how much the clients respond to you. You have such a way with them. I just think that you should know that. Or on the first day of my job, he like bought flowers. And I think he was just a really great example of how to treat people. Like, he was worth millions of dollars, and I made $28,000, and he still treated me like I was not like an equal.
Right.
He was interested in what I had to say, and I really admired that.
That's huge. It's kind of that Warren Buffett mindset, where he's in the same house, he's doing the same
Mm.
thing. There's a level of kind of being a grounded human. If you can meet anybody alive on the planet right now, whether it's in the realm of coaching or anything else, who would you love to meet and sit down and talk to?
Ooh, alive on the planet. Okay, so they have to be alive.
I mean, we could open this up. This could definitely be something that could be, somebody else, but yeah, we'll open it up to anything.
I think it would be really fun. Well, alive, I think it'd be really fun to meet Tina Fey or like Jimmy Fallon. I just think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
But if it was like someone who is no longer with us, it would be like John Adams and Abigail Adams. I
Yeah.
love David McCullough's book. John Adams is one of my all-time favorite book. And so I think it'd be really fun to meet them.
So obviously those people have a lot of motivation, high levels of motivation to
Mm.
get things done in their lives. What is that for you? What is it that gets you out of bed, that gets you motivated, that gets you to want to accomplish what you want to get done with your life?
I think it's so one of the questions that I have asked myself when things get really hard, when it's like, what's the point of this? This is so stupid, or what, whatever, is asking the question, well, what's the alternative? And I think for me, building my own business, that is extremely hard. It is not easy. It is lonely. It is depressing sometimes and can be discouraging. But then when you start to see glimmers of hope, then it's like, okay, let's buckle down. Let's keep going, because you can see like, okay, something's happening. So I think asking the question, what's the alternative? I signed up for that 2-mile race. I don't have to do the race. I don't have to go swimming tomorrow when I'm supposed to. I don't have to do anything. But the alternative then is that I'm out of shape, or I don't get to do the race, or I don't get the cool sweatshirt that they hand out. So seeing what the alternative is sometimes the motivation for me.
So of all of the people that you've had as clients, what's been your favorite success story? One that always puts a smile on your face?
Anybody who sits in, like, I meet with clients on Zoom. So when we're talking and I connect the dots with something and they're sitting there and they're kind of like looking off, and I know that something's just happened, like some sort of level of self-awareness aha has just happened, and them seeing like, oh, I thought that was a bad thing. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my goodness, this is why it is so great. And seeing that shift, and then hearing them when they come back the next time to say, I stopped, I'm not working with that client anymore, but I'm now focused on this. Or, oh, I have rewritten my proposals and the client said yes. And it was the biggest proposal that I have ever said, hey, it'll be X amount of dollars. And the client said yes. So anything where they got permission to be more of who they are, which sounds so cliche and so cheesy, but we do not understand how we work. And when they have that aha, and then they shift their life based on that, it is amazing.
So of all the things that you've done up to this point and accomplished, what are you the proudest of?
I think I am proudest of, again, this kind of sounds so stupid and cliche or cheesy, but like, I'm proud of the personal development that I have gone through. I mean, we've all have bad things that have happened to us, people who have betrayed us, and situations that we wished would never have happened, situations that we thought would happen didn't happen. And so I think if you become a better and more healthy individual, like mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, physically healthy through that situation, that is amazing. And so I think I'm proud of the things that I have gone through in my life where I'm a better person because I allowed myself to kind of get broken down and then built back up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally does. And I totally agree. I think that's the strength of our human will. Let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into a 20-year-old version of yourself, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice
Mm.
based on the wisdom you've gained in your life up to this point. What would you tell that young version of you?
I would say trust your gut and just give it a shot.
So everyone out there has a perception of you. There's pockets of people, family, friends, clients, colleagues, but you ultimately run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm someone who wants someone to, I think I'm someone who encourages people to become better versions of themselves and to go after what it is that they want. And I think I'm the type of person who is inspirational enough to get people to be like, oh yeah, she's right, I can do this. So hopefully kind and loving, and someone with good pointers to be like, oh my gosh, well, Joe, let's talk about this. And like, I change your life that way because you leave like inspired.
So as a Minnesota native, what's the greatest thing about living in Minnesota?
I guess for me, because I grew up on the shores of Lake Superior, having access to the largest lake in the world, it's pretty cool to sit
Yeah.
on a beach and be like, this is the largest lake in the world, and no one else is on the beach.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if anyone out there wants to hire you, learn more about you, anything pertaining to your world, where is the best place to go?
Go to my website, Anna Y. Nelson, ANNAYNELSON.com. And if you want to connect, click the contact and then fill out the little form and we can connect. Or I'm on Instagram and I'm on LinkedIn under the handles Anna Y. Nelson.
Excellent. Anna, thank you so much for taking time out. Thank you for giving us your story, and best of luck with everything.
Oh my gosh, Joe, thank you so much for having me on your show. This has been really, really fun.
Absolutely. And if for some reason you guys make it to the World Series, just celebrate it.
I'll think of you.
All right. Take it easy. Have a good day.
Bye, Joe.